I feel great. Let's hope we're on.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Did you want to buy copies?
I would love to buy a copy. Thank you.
Yeah, and they're like, oh, it's on. Hi there, I'm Caroline. I work with the team.
Hi,
Nice to meet
Hi,
you.
Jordy.
We just are going to get you all mic'd up.
Okay.
If that's okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Is it one that clips on?
We have one is a clip-on, one is a magnet. I don't know if you all can battle to the death for the magnet.
Chris gets to choose.
I'll take the clip on.
Okay.
I don't like the the bricky ones. I didn't have the worst one the other day. It was really painful. No. And and it was.
Chris.
Also,
Pretty nice.
we are going to be recording.
Okay.
So just don't say anything you wouldn't want your mom to hear.
That's most of the things. Is this going in?
So this is going to clip on. You can clip it to your belt or a loop pocket. Did you say you wanted the magnetic one?
I don't mind either. I'll take the clip on.
I mean, we can just yeah. And this is just there's a little clip right here, a hook, and it's gonna hook onto there. So this too is just gonna clip onto a belt.
Just like that.
There you go.
Yeah.
You're in business. And then this, there. You can add a magnet, or you can use it just to hook. It's totally up to you. You might need a magnet.
Yeah. You can put on my t-shirt probably too.
I will remind you to I will be like, hey, can I have that magnet back? Because we've lost a few of them.
Really?
I promise you, I don't want to keep it.
You can listen to us at dinner afterwards.
So are these on? Is it on?
Yes, so these are on
Okay.
and on recording.
Yeah, and it's 30 straight.
Okay.
So you guys can line up.
Great. Yeah. Okay.
Hello, everyone. Welcome.
We say we wait.
We wait, I think.
Nothing. Okay, welcome. Welcome to City's Book Chat. So delighted to have all of you here tonight for one of our events, and welcome to everyone on the live stream. I was just doing my book club, and I told them all about the live stream, and now they're all going to be watching too, so that's exciting. Okay, we have a very exciting guest tonight, Chris Whitaker, who has not only Tall Oaks, All the Wicked Girls, and the New York Times bestseller We Begin at the End, but now All the Colors of the Dark, which is the Jenna's Book Club pick, was just optioned for series, which I'm sure we'll hear more about. Chris lives in the UK. Come on. You're starting very promptly, so people will continue to stream in. He is here with Jordan Moblo, who is the Executive Vice President of Creative Acquisitions and IP Management for Universal Studio Group, USG. You can tell us about that. His Bookstagram at Jordy's Book Club has established him as an influential voice in the publishing world. He is a graduate of Michigan State University and is also admitted to the California Bar Association.
What an intro, man.
I mean,
I didn't know that.
I forgot that. It's been a long time.
Los Angeles. Anyway, we're very excited to have the two of you. Let's do it.
Thanks. Let's do it. This is such a nice setup.
So were you a lawyer?
I am a lawyer.
Really?
I don't practice, but my dad's very proud of me.
I didn't know that about
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. I took the bar exam and then was like, got out of Dodge and was like, I want to be in entertainment.
Mhm.
And now look at me, interviewing famous authors. Chris, you have a new book. Congratulations.
Thank you.
How does it feel?
It's been busy. I don't know exactly what day it is at the moment. It's been,
It's Wednesday.
Okay.
Yeah. This is your second time in the U.S. and this is your first U.S. book tour, right?
First US book tour. We Begin at the End came out during COVID, so it was up at 3 a.m. doing Zooms because of the time difference.
Yeah.
And I think I did over 100 events. So
Wow.
times getting up in the middle of the night. So this is, although it's tiring, the traveling.
Yeah.
Our flight was delayed today, so we got in about an hour and a half ago, and then leave at 5 a.m. to go to Houston tomorrow.
Got here just in time for LA traffic.
Exactly. Yeah, it's really bad.
Yeah.
Isn't it? I've heard about it. It's worse than I thought it was gonna be.
Well, I'm super excited. I assume most of you have not read the book, right? Okay, good. So we'll keep it mostly spoiler free. The one spoiler I will say is I was telling Chris earlier, I'm a little stuffed up because I was reading the last 50 pages office, and I guarantee if you've read We Begin during that, you will cry in this because this is such an emotional, pulse pounding, incredibly well written book, and I'm just so excited for you to finally see it and get the chance to read it. I read it a year ago, and so it feels like we've been sitting on something so exciting for a long time.
Feels
So
like
it's
longer than a year, doesn't it?
well, you've been writing for a very long time,
Yeah.
haven't you? How long did this one take you?
4 years from start to finish.
Wow.
And it still doesn't feel finished. So I wouldn't have given it. You know, I would have just kept it for forever.
You said you reread it again on the plane over here.
I did, because it's been like maybe 5 or 6 months
Yeah.
since I read it. So, and I thought I'm going to be talking about it non-stop. So I need to know it, because if I say I don't know, people already think that I don't write my own books for some reason. I get that a lot. I really do.
Why do you get that a
I
lot?
don't know. They just say there's a disconnect between me and the book, which I find massively insulting. I don't know what it is.
Something about you. You
Yeah.
cannot. You can never
I
write a
think it's
book.
because it's set in the US. That's what I tell myself.
I definitely wanted to ask you about that because it's my assistant read it, and then I was like, do you want to send me a few of these questions? Because I don't want to do all this work. You do some of it for me too. And she wrote this question. She said, as a British man, why is he writing books set in America and not the UK? And We Begin at the End was also set in the US. And for someone who's only been here twice now, talk to us a little bit about setting the book in the US.
So setting the book in the US because writing.
And sorry, maybe before we do that, because no one has really read it yet, maybe you can, in your own words, describe the book for us and give us kind of like a synopsis.
I can give you the top line pitch. So We Begin at the End came out, and I had made kind of thank you. I had made kind of no money from the first couple of books. I think it's really hard to make money as an author.
Okay.
And I think sometimes you think that you kind of made it when you get a publishing deal, but in reality, what normally happens is the book publishes and then nothing happens. You know, it's just, and then you have to get straight on and write another one. So I had We Begin at the End coming out, and I started to think it might be a bigger book because it was Barnes and Noble Book Club.
Yeah.
And you were behind it, and Disney, and we were able to kind of share that news. So I thought things would change, but I wasn't prepared for how many copies we'd sell, and kind of everything changed. And I felt the pressure all of a sudden, like, because there were loads of people wanting the book.
What's next?
And I moved publisher in the UK. And had a new agent, so I had all these new people, and I like things to stay the same. You know, when I'm writing, I like the same team around me. I like everything to be calm in my personal life.
Yeah.
You know, in order to write the best book that I can. And I had this idea for this, and there was a really simple top line pitch, and it was 2 abducted teenagers fall in love in the pitch black basement they're being held in, having never seen each other. The boy escapes and can't find his way back to the girl. So it was just, that was it pretty much. And I knew that the police wouldn't believe him. They'd think that he made her up because he was held down there because of the trauma. But he knows in his heart that she's real. And then it kind of evolved. I was supposed to deliver it in like a year, 12 months or something like that, and they got it 4 years later. So I missed my deadlines, but it turned into this big, huge kind of life story. You know, 'cause this terrible thing happens at the start of the book, and it kind of affects everyone in the story.
Yeah.
And that was what I was going to look at.
So then back to my previous question about setting in the US, because it's very sprawling and there's a road trip element to it to some degree because the main character drives around a lot and is searching for this woman. So tell us a little bit about the setting and kind of why you chose to put it in the US.
So the US thing, I have to tell you some of my life story.
Okay, great.
To that bit. I did really badly at school, completely messed up my exams, got really drunk before my economics exam and missed the exam. So my parents were not impressed at all. And I have a really overachieving brother as well, which I think makes it much worse. So I was the one that kind of messed up. So I didn't go to university, and naively thought that something would find me, you know, like a career. Like I thought I'd just go out, find a job, try loads of different jobs, something will find me, and I'll end up doing something that I love, which I know doesn't always happen. And didn't happen to me. So I did bar work and things like that, and I was 19, and I was working as a real estate agent, kind of like an office junior. And I was out in North London one morning, like about 9:30 in the morning, and putting leaflets through people's doors. And someone came up to me and asked to borrow my cell phone. And I thought I'm going to get mugged because I grew up in London. Most of my friends have been mugged, and you kind of, it's a weird request, and you just think it's going to take my phone. But I my height and size, and I thought there's no way I'm going to give my phone. And I went to quite a rough school and had quite a group of friends. We used to get in fights all the time, so it wasn't that big a deal. And we had a bit of a fight, and I think I had a black eye. It was nothing major. And then he pulled out a kitchen knife, and I thought, I looked at it and it was quite big, and I thought there's no way he's going to use it. You know, it's just to scare me. And then I thought he was punching me in the side, and I looked down. I had a white shirt, and I looked down. It was just completely red, and because he was stabbing me. And then he tried to stab me in the chest. So he probably would have killed me for my phone. And I managed to grab the knife and drop the phone, and it smashed. And he picked up the pieces and ran off. And then I was on this road in London with no phone, bleeding quite badly, and no way of getting help. So I got back to my car, drove myself to the hospital just as I was starting to black out. And they took me and stitched me back together again. And so I've got a load of scars down the side of me, and I tell my kids different things, like I was bitten by a shark and stuff like that. I made it up, but they've started to Google me now, so they know the truth. But so I was fine physically.
Yeah.
Mentally, it was really tough. Like I wasn't prepared for both of my agents. It should come.
Come on.
You missed the stabbing story. I've heard it before. So physically I was okay, just scars, and mentally I was in a really bad way, and I didn't know about PTSD, and I had a group of friends that kind of slap you on the back, you know, the way that guys do sometimes. You know, you did a brave thing, you're kind of expected to get on with it.
Yeah.
And I couldn't work out why I couldn't get on with it, and I couldn't work out why I wasn't sleeping, wasn't eating. Couldn't read a book, couldn't watch TV, and started taking drugs and drinking, and just completely lost sight of myself. I think I remember looking in the mirror and thinking, I don't know who I am anymore. And it's quite scary to go through that. And I didn't ask for help at the time, and I never asked for help. You know, if anything bad happens, never ask for help. And I found my way to the library, and I borrowed a self-help book, and it talked about a technique where you take the trauma, you write about it, but you change the location to the last place you're happy, and you change the outcome to something you can control, and you change the characters involved and things like that. And I think it's like an exercise in control, you know, to take back control over something that you didn't have control over. And it said to set it in the last place you were happy. And my parents split up when I was little, and I really missed my dad, and he took us to Disney, and so it was like my happy place, America. So I set this bit of writing there, and it wasn't a story or anything. I didn't want to be a writer. I had no interest in being a writer, and I set it in America, and I kept doing that every time I was stressed. I would sit down, write a bit of this whatever I was writing, which just like kind of scenes that didn't run together, and America became somewhere to escape to, you know. So my life was kind of falling apart in London, if I sat down at a computer, I could mentally travel 4,000 miles and leave everything behind. And it was kind of freeing. And the same is true of every book I've written.
Wow. It's a really powerful story, and I appreciate you sharing it. But I also would love to know more. Your writing itself is very American. Like it sounds very American. It comes across very American. So how do you kind of, because when we talk as friends, you're
clearly
So like tell us a little bit about that, because the voice in the book your writing is incredible, and the voice is so specific. It feels like with We Beginning and End, and now this book, and I think it's such an incredible thing you do.
Yeah, I don't think it's conscious. It's not like I set out to. I read a lot of American fiction and did growing up. You know, I read Stephen King and John Grisham and people like that, and I don't recall that taking it in, but I think subconsciously you probably do. Like we grew up watching American TV and things like that. But I think it's more about understanding people.
Yeah.
You know, and I think if you get that, I think you can put the story down anywhere and people will read it and connect with the characters.
Yeah.
But it's hard. It feels like I've spent years learning to speak American. It does feel like that. And still mess it up sometimes, but I have a massive safety net of, you know, US editor and copy editor and teams of people. But still, sometimes things slip through. And I will always find the reader recognized
And gets
something.
it.
Yeah, and then messaged me to tell me.
It's maybe like we don't believe you're the author, because it does feel like when you and I have the shorthand and I read the book and you're like, holy shit, like this is like incredible. Like it just takes you to another place. So I just, my hat's off to you for it. But I'm also curious, you have kids and you've now written We Begin at the End and All the Colors of the Dark. And to be honest, like your fictional kid characters are in danger, man. Like the kids are not safe with Chris Whitaker. Like how do you live in this world where you're writing kids in peril or dealing with trauma and grief when you have your own children? Is it difficult for you to kind of disconnect from that? Is it?
I see them as completely different.
Yeah.
From my kids, like I think of myself when I was 10. I've got a 10-year-old, and he asked me what I was like when I was his age, and I just think I was nothing like you. I think I grew up really quickly.
Yeah.
And had a really difficult childhood, and just when I look back, I don't see myself as a kid. It's a weird thing. I just feel like I was always worried about something or stressed about something in the way that I'm really glad that my kids aren't.
Yeah.
It's
so you're able to like disconnect that kind of piece of it when you're writing it.
Yeah, I think so. But then the kids that I write about are closer to me
Yeah.
by far than they are to my kids.
Yeah. And why do you choose to tell the story from the point of view of kids, especially in the last two books?
I think that they have a way of looking at the world.
Yeah.
Like, if you've got kids of that age, like the world is kind of black and white,
Yeah.
isn't it? And I quite like that. And it's the shades of grey that start creeping in as you get older. And also it's a really pivotal time, isn't it, in your life? I think the things that, particularly this book, it's about Patch, and he's 13, and he kind of stumbles across a girl being abducted,
Mm-hmm.
and he intervenes, and he gets stabbed and taken,
Mm-hmm.
and she gets away, and then the rest of the book looks at what happens if something really bad happens when you're a kid. Does it dictate the rest of your life, and can you kind of outrun the trauma?
Yeah. The kid characters they're smart, but they're not without their flaws, and they feel genuinely like children. They don't feel like an adult character in the body of a child. And I feel like I haven't seen, especially when We Begin at the End and Duchess, like I hadn't seen something like that since True Grit or since To Kill a Mockingbird. I just think it's so well done in how you pivoting to a little bit more lighter. What came first, the eye patch or the character's name?
I think the name.
The name.
Yeah, I think I always see them kind of fully formed, and I need to know what they look like. And I knew that Saint would be quite small. She really wants to be more feminine and be more attractive because she is secretly in love with Patch, and he sees her as like a tomboy, like his best friend, and she can't escape that.
Yeah.
And so they came first, the two characters. When I was set out to plot the book, I had that top line pitch which I told to my agent and my editor, and I think no, he wasn't my editor at the time, was he? Because Kath sold the book off of that pitch, and I wrote it. It was like 3 lines, and then moved publisher, and that was a mess, wasn't it?
And I still pitch it. It's not exactly what it ended up being.
No, it's not. It's not. It's far bigger than that. But we had a massive headache because I had a 2-book deal for terrible, and then Kath got me out of it. But it was like big lawyers, and it was really stressful, and I didn't enjoy it because I like things to not be stressful.
Right.
So I was trying to write the book, and all this stuff was going on. So yeah.
I remember you pitched me the 3 sentences, and I called Jason and tried to option it. So
Yeah, you did.
he said no.
He did, and he said no to the one I'm writing.
Okay, so let's talk setting, because it's set in the 1970s, and there's some definite reasons behind it that I don't want to get into because some of it might be a little spoiler territory. But can you talk a little bit more about setting it in the 1970s and kind of your thoughts behind it? Was it for that specific reason, or were there other reasons behind it?
Because I knew where I wanted it to end. I wanted it to end in 2001, and We Begin at the End takes place around kind of 5 years after that, and a lot of it is, I still feel a bit like I was happier in that era before social media and things like that. And so I liked it more, and I knew that I wanted the book to end there. So it was more about counting back from there, because I knew that I wanted them to be 13 when the book started, and I knew what was going to happen at the end and how long it would take to get there. So it was, and then I had the big headache of tracking America from 1975.
Right.
and I didn't want to get really bogged down in it, and I didn't, because sometimes you read or watch something that's set in a period of time like the 80s, and it can feel a bit like it's being rammed down your throat. Do you know what I mean? Like with the cultural references and things like that. So I wanted it to be slightly subtler.
There is a feeling of a little bit of timelessness to the story.
Yeah, that was definitely intentional.
Yeah. And I think what I really loved about the book is I think so many authors would find a way to romantically bring together Patch and Saint, and they have this epic romance. And I think you could define what they have in the book as a romance, but it's much more platonic, and it's much more this lifelong love for one another. Can you talk a little bit about the relationship between the two main characters in your book?
I really think there's something really beautiful about a friendship.
Yeah.
You know, like if you're looking for a partner, there's an attraction, isn't there? And there's something more obvious between two people. But choosing a friend is a completely different thing. And just after I finished it, I read Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow, which kind of is the perfect book about friendship. And I don't think it's done enough.
I agree.
Yeah. So
I really respected that choice, and I thought it deepened that relationship a lot more as well, where you didn't have this will they, won't they kind of thing. You got to actually see this epic journey they go on together.
Well, I remember when you first read it. So the girl that is abducted, Patch kind of has like they kind of fall in love and have a relationship, and you didn't like her at first because you felt she was in the way.
Misty.
Yeah.
By the way, I was thinking about it on the way over, and I was trying to think of my favorite supporting characters, and I think Misty ended up being my favorite character the second time around.
To go from not liking her or thinking she's in the way.
Yeah.
To,
you had a good editor somewhere. Who was your favorite character to write in the book?
Probably, I'd like a saint in my life.
Yeah.
I think everyone should have a saint in their life. But probably Patch.
Patch.
Yeah, I think I could relate most to Patch, and kind of put loads of stuff that had happened to me into Patch, and so I think writing him. But it's really weird because the book comes out and it's about two teenagers starts in the 70s in Missouri, and I feel like it's too close to my life, and I feel like it's really personally connected, and no one would see that. So when someone 1 stars it, I really want to kill them.
It's my life, damn it.
Exactly, yeah.
What kind of research goes into this book? As someone who writes this sprawling American story, and another one of my favorites is Sammy, who is this art dealer, and there's a lot of art in the book. Can you talk about a little bit of the research that goes into it?
Yeah, too much, I think, research. It was just, it became hellish after a while, and I couldn't let it go, couldn't deliver it, because I get bogged down in the details.
Yeah.
There's a bit in it where Patch works in a mine, and I think it's a paragraph, and that was like a month of work learning.
I literally have it written down, like, what research did you do for the mine? Like,
I was working in the library at the time, and it was like my favorite job that I've ever had. It was during lockdown, and the library stayed open. And I loved working in it because no one could come in. So we had the whole library, and you couldn't choose a book, but you could email in and choose like a genre, and no matter what you chose, you would get one of my books back. So it was the perfect opportunity to promote my books, because I could find something in it. You know, if you want a love story, I'll find a page where there's some
seriously.
But yeah, so it was just
even Jenna said it. She was like, it's a multitude of things here.
Yeah, she's so good at pitching.
Yeah.
Isn't she? We need to bring her on tour. Like, if she was just here now.
Just get her to do the synopsis at the top.
Or just do the tour.
Yeah.
Just do the tour.
Yeah. The book does explore some really dark themes, and you go to some really dark places. But I think what was really great about it is you don't sensationalize the violence. I think where you could really dive into his experience locked away in the dark and some of the other things that happen in the book, you could very much go there, and you don't. I think more about the victims themselves and a lot of the experience and the emotion behind it. Can you talk a little bit about your thought process behind that? Because I thought it was really well done.
It was, so Patch spends a lot of time when he's abducted. He's locked in. It's completely dark. Can't see anything. Kind of cries out and doesn't get any help. And when I was 10, like my parents split, I mentioned before, and my mum kind of dated the worst men. And one of them was quite violent, and he was like a bit of a drinker. And one night I was asleep, and he pulled me out of bed, and we both heard my arm break, and then I couldn't help because he was obviously going to get in trouble. So I went back to my room, and I couldn't like cry out or anything because no one would help me, and so it was a really long night, and that's what I mean about a 10-year-old. Like my 10-year-old could never cope with something like that. So why I could, but I felt like I could. And then the next day I told my parents that it had happened playing football, and so it was like trying, and so it was drawing on that for Patch, you know, going through this thing. And afterwards I remember being like excessively polite, because he used to call me a brat, and I used to think I've been a brat, he's like, that's why he's hurt me. And it's still something I have a problem with. Not like I will, like, my other half is over there, and sometimes I will ask if I can get a drink of water in the house, or open a window or something like that, and I have to physically stop myself doing it.
Yeah.
You know, and it comes from that trying not to impose, and it drives me a bit mad. And she's really like completely fine with it, and sometimes will let me get some water.
You don't need it.
Yeah.
It is interesting though to hear just some of your stories growing up really seems to inform a lot of the question me asking about you writing these child characters. Like, it feels like a lot of that informs on those characters in a really interesting way as you talk about it.
Yeah, but I don't really consciously think I'm doing it until afterwards. Like I think back to that happening to me. Like, my arm was broken, and then I think at 19, instead of giving him my phone, I didn't want to feel like a victim, because I was a victim when I was 10. So I think I got stabbed because of what happened when I was 10. And it was starting to thread this, and I lost tons of money in the city and didn't get help and got in loads of trouble. And I think I couldn't ask for help. And I think that I don't like blaming my childhood. Like, because I'm not blaming, because I'm here now, like, and talking to you, and I'm really privileged in loads of ways. But I think that there are sliding doors moments in your life, and Patches happens at the start of the book, and the book is whether you can come through that and kind of write your own ending. And I very much think that you can. I think that you can change, but I don't think I'd be here had this stuff not happened to me, because I don't think I'd be able to write characters like that. And that is how Patch finds his way to art in the book. You know, this terrible thing happens. He's held in the basement. And then he comes out, and he's probably a kid that would never leave the town that he grew up in.
Yeah.
You know, he lives quite a sheltered life. His mum is not around, and he comes out, and all of a sudden he has to search for this girl, and he sees everything. He goes, you know, the world is open to him, and he finds his way to art because he wants to paint what he thinks she looks like, and he becomes quite a famous artist in it and makes lots of money from it. And so basically it's my life story in this book, as I found my way to writing because of the terrible things that happened.
It's really beautiful. And I think you can feel that passion and those stories in that book. It's just hearing you talk about it a little bit more, like, it gives it that much more gravitas, I think. So the book is the Jenna's Book Club pick of the month, which is very exciting. Congrats. Tell us, what's that like? Like, what's the process like? Like, do you get a fun phone call? Like, are there balloons? Like, what goes on behind the scenes of that kind of thing?
Sign a blood oath. So
Right.
Can't tell anyone. And they take that really seriously.
Yeah.
I was terrified about it. I was worried I was going to say it in my sleep.
Like, how far in advance do you find out about that?
When we did the film deal. So
that'd be like almost a year.
Jason knows more than I do. Yeah, like a year ago.
Yeah.
Like quite a long way in advance.
So you had to sit on it
really
since then.
Confirmed. It was like, you know, you'll be considered for it, and I just still didn't believe it until I came to Aspen and met Jenna and saw the sticker on the book.
That was when you finally were like, it is.
I think so, yeah. And then she's been really cool, like the biggest champion of the book. And I keep having all these surreal moments. Like, she was at the event we did the other day, she was showing me her phone, and it was the text with Oprah about the book. And like, I know, it's the strangest thing.
You said it so casually, I had to stop for a second.
And it's like, it's Oprah talking about all the characters and messaging her at different parts of the book. And there was a picture of her and like the page she was on, and in the background was what I thought was a luxury hotel, but it was Oprah's house.
It's her guest house.
Yeah, it was insane.
And
it makes Zibby's apartment look like my house.
So will you go on the Today Show?
I will go on the Today Show. Think how badly that's going to go.
It's going to be great. It's so exciting.
I think I will waffle on. Jen's worried about that. But I'm going to not pitch the book and just tell my life story. And then everyone will know about me, but not the story. I'm not going to.
It's like, it's fine. Keep going.
I'm going to get coached on it beforehand. Really.
You're doing great.
I need one of those auto cues.
Exactly.
Stick to it.
You're doing great.
Yeah, so Jen has been amazing. And it's not. It doesn't feel like real life.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm at home normally, writing, and then all of a sudden we're in Aspen.
Yeah.
And, Aspen's really expensive. It's like a different world. It's like, yeah, it's just so beautiful and so expensive. And I feel like I didn't belong there. You know, like I somehow snuck my way in.
Yeah.
And I think that, yeah, a lot. We were at this thing called the Aspen Ideas Festival, and it's $5,000 a ticket to go to it. Isn't that insane?
Yeah, it is.
Can you believe that? $5,000 for one. There was loads of free stuff, and we went. And I completely embarrassed Jen. I was going around with a bag, just kidding. I was like, I'm going there, popcorn and stuff like that. And,
You're like, sir, this isn't one you can take home with you. This is part of the hotel. Please leave this where it is. You got like the pillow, you got like the bed sheets, and you like your carry-on. Yeah.
Had to go in Jenna's handbag.
Exactly. So Jen is also the producer on the
Yes.
adaptation
Yep.
of the series. So what can you tell us about that experience? Because you've had Tall Oaks and We Begin at the End, and now All the Colors have been optioned. And I know in LA, a lot of people are always curious about how the sausage gets made a little bit behind the scenes. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Curious about it. I don't. Let's say that hiding over there are the people making the show.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So they and apparently there's a pilot. Jenna said there's a pilot. So she's ready.
Stand up. Stand up. No.
Can you
Yeah.
So I don't know. Apparently it's amazing. Jen, I had no doubt that it would be because you were writing it, but I'm really
So
intrigued.
people got their hands on the book.
Yeah, so I had this
early
really-
on.
Yeah, I had this mad time where Jason sends out the book that I wasn't happy with because it wasn't quite finished.
Right.
I didn't think I ever would be. And then I had all these meetings, and like so I thought, and then I flew to New York to meet people, and I
Yeah.
thought I was going to be pitching them, but it's the other way around.
Is it weird when you've finished a book and then all of a sudden you kind of have to release it and it's all of a sudden stops being kind of yours and it becomes everyone else's to some degree, and you start to get that feedback and
Yeah,
hearing what people
it's really
resonate
tough.
with? Yeah.
And especially now because it's everywhere.
Yeah.
But then I think it's a nicer way to do it because you start like it starts getting bigger, the circle.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I had all these meetings and I met with Will Smith's company, and it was like maybe a few days after he'd slapped. and it was so weird because they talked about the slap during the pitch, like, but they said it's because he's so passionate. That is one way to spend it.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
You're definitely getting coached after this.
So yeah, so that was really weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, hearing that, and like I would be terrified to work with Will Smith.
I don't see him here, so I guess it didn't. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was weird.
Yeah.
But then, am I not supposed to say this?
You're doing great.
Yeah.
You're not mic'd at all.
No, it's being recorded.
Yeah, it is.
I'm gonna get slapped, aren't I?
Yeah.
Right. So
So you had a bunch of meetings
had
in
a
New
bunch
York.
of meetings. Yeah. There was only ever going to be one winner, and then it's Sue was there over there, and you.
I don't remember going to New York. Did you go to New York?
Go to New York.
Yeah, I didn't take meetings in New York.
But the meeting, no, we had a meeting.
Yeah, we had a Zoom.
Yeah,
I didn't realize we got that. I didn't realize we had an opportunity to go to New York for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that you didn't need it.
Okay, good.
You were always going to win because, like,
thank you.
Jordan did We Begin at the End with me, but through Disney,
Yeah.
and that was mad, and that was Tommy Cale,
Yeah.
who directed Hamilton, and I love Tommy.
Yeah.
And so the first time I zoomed with Tommy, his wife came and sat down, and it was Michelle Williams. It was like, wow. And so like, I grew up watching Dawson's Creek.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's Jen from Dawson's Creek. And so I completely lost my cool. Yeah. So this is
So it's been a little bit surreal.
Go so bad.
Yeah.
I'm going to go off at a tangent and talk about Will Smith.
So the book is in development. Someone is writing a script. Apparently,
Yeah.
there's a pilot, and hopefully, fingers crossed.
I think so. I've learned from the other options.
Yeah.
These things tend to take ages.
Yeah.
And I try not to get too excited about it.
I know. I feel like
But-
people like announce it, and then
Yeah,
everyone's like, "It's
they
going to be
do.
on TV the next day."
And they like to send me casting ideas.
Yeah.
Readers. They love it. We Begin at the End. The star of that book is the 13-year-old girl called Duchess. and I had loads of American parents sending videos of their daughters like auditioning, and it was just like some of them were really
Really?
good. Yeah, really, really good. Like one of them is an actress on Netflix. I won't say who she is, but she sang Bridge Over Troubled Water because Duchess sings.
Yeah.
And she's so good.
Wow.
But I have no control over it.
Yeah.
I was saying.
And
I did send that one to Tom.
Are you precious about what an adaptation looks like, or do you like, does it have to be very by the book to you, or is it something where you're kind of open to creative interpretations? Yeah.
It's a completely different medium.
Yeah.
And I have total faith. I just know that. I know that the kind of core team care about the story as much as I do.
Yeah.
And so that's it. You know, that's the entire battle is in one.
Well, I'm sure that's part of the meeting process too, is making sure that whoever you ultimately partner with is someone who understands.
Yeah. And it was you. It was, no, but it was.
Oh, right.
Jokes aside, I know that you cared about the book.
Yeah.
And we're friends. And
Yeah, because I kept texting you, being like, "Let's go. Where is it? I want to read it."
Yeah, for ages.
Yeah. Are we doing Q&A or?
Yes.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Okay, so last question before I open it up to
Okay.
Q&A, and I always like to ask this question. So once everyone has read this book, and then if they haven't read the backlist, and We Begin at the End, which if you haven't read We Begin at the End, it is incredible also. Any books that you've read recently or similar books that you would recommend, authors that you love recently?
I think
Midnight Feast.
She's the best.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely loved it. I just read the new David Nichols. I'm a massive
Yeah.
David Nichols fan. I read one. I was quite late to one day. I read it during lockdown.
Yeah.
And was talking about this the other day. You know, when you read a book at the perfect time.
Yeah.
In your life, and like, I really kind of needed that book. Like, I needed this beloved story, and got it. And so I love that. I still recommend Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow. I think it's the best book I've read of the last 5 years. Absolutely love it.
Those are all good recommendations.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, let's open it up. Who has questions? Don't be shy.
You said that you thought your career or your job would just come to you, and you said you never wanted to be a writer, so are you still looking for that job?
Such a good question.
Good question.
No. I think I found what I'm supposed to do. Like me and Nikki are trying to write for TV at the moment, and it's not. I don't enjoy it for some reason. I don't know. It's because it's the structure of it. I just can't get into it. But
It's a different animal.
it is completely, and it's leaving me just not with the same feeling.
Yeah.
So I just think I'm probably supposed to write books, and so yeah.
Can you imagine if you were writing TV? We'd have to wait 8 years for the next book.
Yeah. Isn't it really fast though, comparatively?
Writing TV?
Yeah.
You'd have to ask Sarah.
Sarah?
Yeah.
I imagine I'd make it really difficult.
Jen's like, no TV.
Yeah.
But stick to books.
Yeah. So
As a fan.
I know what I'm writing next, and that will probably be 3 years or something down the line till that comes out. So yeah.
It was 4 years last
Yeah,
week.
you said
so-
4.
I said 4 years when I was doing the Jenna thing. We were on stage, and I looked back and saw your face, and I thought I better say 3 years. I'm gonna get in big trouble.
For multiple reasons today.
Yeah.
Who else? Troy, I saw you.
Hi, nice to meet
Hi,
you.
nice to meet
I came in late, and of course, Jordy's a friend, and I will read most of the stuff. Not a lot of it's apocalyptic stuff, but a lot of stuff he recommends.
Okay, calm down.
So I've been waiting for this, and I just bought the audiobook. And even coming here, I was like, wow, he really knows the South. Honey, I need this for an event. And
It's
then
real, the purple honey.
It's because I have to look it up. I need it. But I walk in the door, and I was like, I'm sorry, am I in the wrong place? I'm which I love, but I am so far.
Thank you.
I am in love with the characters in Patch. I love a poor boy anything story. So now hearing your story, I'm like, can I go? I just need to get back in the car and get out. I don't even know. I just am commending you.
No question. You're just excited.
I'm just excited to go. This happened to be here. I got to buy it. I have it on audiobook, but I just am very excited to read.
That's
this
really
book.
nice to hear.
So congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any more questions?
Yeah.
Where did the purple honey come from?
Series, when can I watch stuff?
Yeah. Where did the
It's
purple
real.
honey come?
I found it.
Where are the swag boxes with purple honey? I
I
went.
can't ruin the ending of the book. I can't ruin the ending.
No.
I really want to tell you that story.
Ugh.
I want purple honey.
We'll have to
Yeah,
do
I
one.
want
We'll have to do
Jordy.
another Q&A in a few
Yeah,
months.
Definitely. Yeah, like a book club when everyone's ready.
Yeah.
Have
What?
you got to go to the South? I'll ask that question. Where do you live in London, and have you got to go to the South to get the flavor and the feel of this?
I haven't been there. No, I've never been anywhere I've written about. The last book was Montana, and my first event was the Montana. And I thought they were going to get me. They're going to find something. I completely messed it up. But no, I haven't been there. I grew up in London like my whole life, and now we live in Cambridge.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So nice to meet you.
Yeah, you too.
So the audiobook, is it an American reading it?
It is, yeah. It's Eduardo.
It's you, isn't it? Do your best American accent.
I would make such a... He's so good.
He's really good.
Yeah.
Yes. I can't listen to it like Mr. 2.7 over there, but I.
Is that what you do?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like a 1.2, and he's got a great voice. And,
Yes.
but it's still like 10 and a half hours. And I'm like, where am I going to drive? I'm not going to do a lot of walking.
So they send me a load of people reading parts of the
Choose
books.
American intentionally since the book is set in America?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it wouldn't work any other way, I think. But I met with him. So first of all, you listen to them all, choose the one you like, and me and Nikki listened to them, and he was like the best by a mile, like for this book.
Yeah.
And then we found out he was in The Sopranos, and I was like the
Oh,
biggest
really?
Sopranos fan, and so it was done at that point.
You're like, yeah.
Yeah,
No questions
it's a done
asked.
deal, but he's really, really talented.
I interviewed Stephen Rowley a few weeks ago, who wrote The Guncle and The
Yeah.
Guncle Abroad, and he narrated it himself. He had to audition, and he told us a funny story, which is he aged up the characters in part because he didn't want to have to do the kids' lisp in the second book,
Really?
without realizing the second book is set abroad, and he had to do Italian accents for a bunch of characters. And he said it's like mortifying, and it like took him a long time. Yeah. Yeah.
It's hard, isn't it?
Yeah.
This is like 8 hours, 10 hours.
I couldn't do it.
No.
Anyone else? Who else?
Well, you said 3 years for the next one. Can you tell us anything about it?
I can tell you it's called The Timekeeper, and it is the time traveler's wife meets the Fault in Our Stars, and it's like a big love story without any crime in it. Jordan wants to buy it already.
Tried.
Nope.
He pitched it. I got choked up just hearing it. So it sounds incredible. This is what everyone should be focused on. It's great. Anyone else?
Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
great.
Everybody for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There are lots of copies here, and then Chris, if you don't mind signing.
Of course.
Stay right there and sign away. Thank you all for coming.
Nice to see you.
So I saw you at that LA Times
Yeah.
Festival of Books.
Yeah.
Octavia Spencer.
Yeah. Oh my God, thank you for coming.
Yeah, so I read the book.
Yeah.
Her book is amazing.
Her book, First Light Wins. Yeah, it's so fun, isn't it?
Things that I didn't try not to look for stuff.
Yeah.
It just pops in my head.
Yeah.
I'm very down.